All right, on today's episode, I'm gonna be providing my feedback on the Hayabusa boxing boots. I bought them about a week ago, and I've actually used them only 2 times while training. And I have to say that I'm extremely disappointed in the shoes for 2 reasons, and I'll get into that in more detail as we go on with the video. So just to give you guys some background, I have used the Nike Hyper KO boots before, and those were fantastic shoes that I've used for probably about 3 or 4 years before they wore out completely. And maybe I'll put a picture somewhere here that shows you what the last status of the shoes were before I got rid of them. As I mentioned, they lasted me quite some time, which is what I would expect for a shoe within that price range. And I ended up getting these guys. I do have their boxing gloves, which I really did enjoy a lot. They were fantastic, and I still actually own them to this day. Those I have no complaints about. So I thought to give the shoes a try, thinking that they would be probably similar construction, similar quality, but I just want to share my feedback now. So what I did not like about these shoes, or why I'm returning them and probably going back to the Nikes, or potentially even trying something completely different. First and foremost, the sole inside the shoe. The sole is a pretty decent quality. It actually has a nice padding inside of it, which makes it comfortable to use. But the way that they're constructed, they're glued in here, and as you can see, the glue completely came separated after just my first time putting these on and just practicing some drills and doing some light sparring. I saw these completely detach, and my foot was like flopping from side to side, and I ended up getting a blister after the second time. Since I decided to use them, even though they came apart, I decided to continue to use them. And on my second use with these new shoes, I had a blister that was pretty bad. So that's number one. And with this, I mean, honestly, I was okay with potentially continue maybe even using them or giving them a second shot, but because I got the blister, I decided to give up. But the main reason I got rid of these was because of this. Inside they have that sole, but the sole, the material, I don't know what material it's being used to make the sole, but what happens is when you're pivoting and moving around the bag, or your opponent, if you're sparring, you end up, putting most of your weight on the front of your feet since you're bouncing on your toes, and it causes that sole to kind of come apart. And I'll see if there's any residue left in there, but let me see. There you go. You can kind of see a small little speck. Let's see. There you go. There's more. So you can see there's kind of some residue on the sidewalls, but that stuff is just coming apart. And this is only my second time using these shoes in sparring and or just training. So I'm kind of disappointed in these. Another thing I disliked about the shoe as well is the thickness. It's really nice, actually. It feels comfortable, but only if you're walking around. If you're actually training and you're doing all your drills, your feet are going to get extremely hot in these shoes. The ventilation, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, I don't think is the greatest compared to at least what I came from, which is the Hyper KOs. These are nowhere near in comparison to those shoes when it comes to ventilation and comfort. I don't know if this is their first iteration of this shoe, but irregardless, these shoes, would I recommend them to someone that's serious about boxing or doing some type of sparring or heavy hardcore training? I would say it's a no, thumbs down. Maybe some of you will have a better experience than me, but I'm just sharing my experience. I do like the look of this shoe. It's a very beautiful looking boot. I do like how they feel when you first put them on, but once you start actually working out, that's where I experience a lot of my issues. So I will be returning these and trying out something else. Well, thanks for looking.